Every dealership runs a car battery tester before approving a warranty replacement. Outside a warranty claim, that same conductance test costs you a diagnostic fee. The algorithm behind it is inside the $35 brand at number 7 on this list. One methodology, 40 times the price difference, and most used car buyers walking onto a lot have never heard of either one. A dealer's prep crew can charge a dead battery for an hour before your test drive. The voltmeter you brought reads 12.6 volts. Full charge. The car starts. You sign. 60 days later, it won't turn over on a cold morning. Resting voltage was never the question. Cold cranking amps is the question, and most battery testers at retail aren't built to answer it. 7 brands are. One of them holds the patent behind the whole methodology. It's at number 1. Most drivers assume a battery tester checks whether a battery is charged. That's a voltmeter, not a battery health analyzer. Drive off a lot with a battery reading 12.6 volts at rest, and you can be stranded 2 months later when it collapses under the engine's starting load. Resting voltage doesn't catch that failure. What predicts failure is cold cranking amps, what the plates can currently deliver, not what the sticker claims. Plates degrade through sulfation and material shedding over time. A battery can hold a full surface charge and have almost no real capacity left. There's also reserve capacity, how many minutes the battery can power the car's electronics if the alternator dies while you're driving. CCA tells you if the car starts. Reserve capacity tells you how long you have to get off the road if it doesn't. Every brand on this list uses conductance testing or a true carbon pile load test, the only 2 methods that measure actual CCA delivery rather than inferring it from voltage. Resting voltage tells you the battery is alive. It doesn't tell you for how long. Number 7. TOPDON BT100, the entry point that stops guessing and starts measuring. TOPDON built their BT series to fill the gap between a $20 voltmeter and a $100 professional tester. The BT100 is a conductance tester at a price that removes every excuse for walking onto a lot without one. 12-volt batteries, 100 to 2000 CCA across flooded, AGM, gel, and EFB chemistry. Including the start-stop specification, most cheap testers aren't calibrated to confirm. It outputs state of health, state of charge, and a measured CCA reading, not an estimate derived from voltage. AutoGuide named the BT100 their top-rated pick in the category. The display returns a good, replace, or charge verdict. No interpretation needed. 12 volt only, no alternator test. That gap closes at number 4. At $35 to $40, the BT100 earns its spot because it uses the right methodology. A $35 conductance tester catches what a $99 voltmeter misses every time. The brand at number 6 has been making automotive battery products for longer than most diagnostic tools have existed. Number 6. Clore Automotive, under the Solar brand. The name most used car buyers have walked past at the parts counter without knowing who's behind it. Clore Automotive is among the longest established names in North American battery and starting equipment. The Solar BA9 is their conductance analyzer, 40 to 1200 CCA, 7 to 15 volt range, reverse polarity protection, clear LCD. On bobistheoilguy.com, a user who ran the BA9 against a calibrated Fluke 187 multimeter in side-by-side tests on known batteries found the results consistently within millivolts over years of use. A Fluke 187 is a professional calibration instrument. The BA9 matched it, repeatedly. $55 to $65. It doesn't hand you 5 data points. The one it hands you is accurate. At number 5, 5 data points, and enough international standards coverage to read any battery in any car you're considering. Number 5, ANCEL BA101. 5 readings from 1 test, and the one most buyers have never been told to ask for. Where the tools above give you a verdict, the BA101 gives you a data set. CCA, charge percentage, voltage, internal resistance, and state of health, in one conductance pass. Internal resistance is the number most buyers aren't told exists. High internal resistance means the battery is converting energy to heat instead of cranking power. A failure in progress, visible in the data before it shows up in your driveway. ANCEL built the BA101 to meet 6 international testing standards: JIS, SAE, EN, DIN, IEC, and CCA formats. Any battery, any vehicle, without reconfiguration. It powers from the battery under test and connects to an external printer for a paper record before you sign anything. $55 to $70. The internal resistance reading alone earns the price. At number 4, 12 and 24 volt coverage, alternator testing, and enough cable to run the full inspection from the driver's seat, solo. Number 4, Foxwell BT705, the one that follows the battery problem all the way to its source. The BT705 goes past every entry above it. 12 and 24 volt coverage, 100 to 2000 CCA across flooded AGM, AGM spiral, EFB, and gel. One tool for the sedan, the pickup, the diesel. The 5.9-foot cable lets you clip to the battery, sit in the driver's seat, and monitor real-time cranking data while you turn the key, without a second person. For a solo used car inspection, that's not convenience, that's the test. Foxwell has been building automotive diagnostic equipment for over 17 years. The BT705 was tested by Project Farm against professional units costing significantly more and held its accuracy. Shop mechanics report running it across 10 to 15 vehicles per day without degradation. The display outputs SOH, SOC, CCA, internal resistance, and a clear verdict, plus alternator output under load and no load. That last test is how you find the charging system that's quietly taking down a battery you just confirmed is healthy. $99 to $105. The first tool on this list that checks both sides of the problem. Before the top 3, one note on how this channel works. No battery testing company has paid for a mention here. What you're getting is verified specs, documented test data, and track records long enough to mean something. If that kind of research earns a subscribe, it genuinely helps keep this running without a sponsor. Number 3, Schumacher Electric, BT100. The test that doesn't infer, it confirms. Conductance testing calculates what a battery should deliver under load. It doesn't put real current through the battery and measure what comes out. The Schumacher BT100 does. Steel case, copper-plated clamps, analog meter. 100 amps of real current applied to the battery, voltage measured while that load runs. Either the battery holds above 9.6 volts for 15 seconds or you have your answer. No algorithm, no inference. Schumacher Electric has been making battery and charging equipment for American drivers for decades. Multiple shop owners have documented running the same BT100 unit for 20 or more years without failure. One limitation: the battery needs to be near full charge for accurate results. Pair it with conductance. Run the conductance screen first, and if the result is borderline, ask the seller for 30 minutes on a charger. Then confirm with the BT100. That's the 2-tier sequence professional service departments actually use. Around $50 to $60. At number 2, built for the battery that's already partially discharged before you even get to it. Number 2. Autel MaxiBAS BT508. Built for the battery that's been sitting on a dealer lot for months and doesn't want you to know what it is. Here's the used car problem. Weeks of minimal driving leaves the battery partially discharged. Standard conductance needs a baseline state of charge to return accurate results. A borderline battery and a dead battery look identical on most tools. Autel's adaptive conductance separates them. The BT508 runs a 30-amp dynamic discharge, 3 times the current of standard conductance profiling, adjusted in real time to the battery's actual voltage and surface charge at the moment of the test. Autel reports 96% diagnostic accuracy and a 63% improvement in bad battery detection over standard conductance. Autel has been building professional diagnostic equipment for over 15 years. The BT508 covers 6 and 12-volt batteries from 100 to 2000 cca, tests cranking and charging via Bluetooth, and works on batteries that standard conductance would misread. $180 to $200. Resting voltage says it's fine. Adaptive conductance tells you what's actually left. At number 1, the company that invented the methodology every brand on this list is built around. Number 1. Midtronics, the company that invented the conductance test. Steve McShane founded Midtronics in 1984 after acquiring a conductance-based testing patent from Motorola's Automotive Products division. In 1985, he recruited Dr. Keith Champlin from the University of Minnesota, the researcher who developed the underlying conductance science, and they built the world's first digital battery conductance tester and the global OEM standard. Midtronics holds over 200 US patents in battery testing. Their protocol is the required method for warranty decisions at virtually every major automotive manufacturer worldwide. The machine in your dealership service bay, the one the technician used to decide whether your battery qualifies for warranty coverage, is almost certainly a Midtronics unit. You're about to walk in with the same methodology. The PBT300 is the consumer version, the same conductance algorithm, handheld, around $200 to $280. Connect it to the battery posts and compare measured CCA to what the label claims. The label says 550. The tester reads 270. That's not a battery you're inheriting in good shape. That's a bill you haven't seen yet. Resting voltage tells you the battery is alive. Midtronics tells you for how long. 7 brands, 1 principle. They answer the question the seller isn't advertising. Not whether the battery is charged, what it will actually deliver. The tools that don't make this list do exactly one thing: hand you a number that sounds like an answer, and leave the real question for you to discover in your own driveway 60 days later. Before you test any battery, ask one question. Does it measure cold cranking amps from conductance or a true load test? Or does it estimate from voltage? That's the line between a battery analyzer and a voltmeter with better packaging. Same shelf. Often the same price. Completely different answer. Team conductance or team load test? Drop your pick in the comments and tell me which of these 7 you've actually used. Resting voltage tells you the battery is alive. It doesn't tell you for how long.